Hello and welcome to another running video. This one is some recycled footage or reused footage, in that I used this footage for a video I posted recently called Running at Super Speed. I did that because the audio on this original one wasn't very good. It was full of wind noise and so on, so I just muted it and sped it up 3 times the normal speed and posted it for a bit of a giggle. So I'm now doing a voiceover, which is not something I normally do, but as I said, the original audio wasn't much good. Now in this video I'm just going to talk about various things related to running without any particular point or without any particular message that I'm trying to say. Just generally talk about things to do with running. I don't have any program to tell you, I don't have merchandise to tell you, I don't have any way to tell you if you do this thing or that thing, or don't do this thing or don't do that thing, then you'll be a better runner. I'm not qualified to do those sort of things. So I'm just going to talk about the things that come to mind, and you're welcome to accept them, reject them, ignore them, whatever. If you want to comment, do so. And when I become aware of your comment, I will respond. So for a bit of background and context, not for boasting, but for you to be able to know a little bit about me and then determine whether I know what I'm talking about or not when I talk about running, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my running experience. I'm nearly 73 years old. I've been running for about 8 years. I generally try to run about 50 k's a week. I don't always succeed at that. Some weeks I do a little bit more, but most other weeks I don't reach the 50 k's for various reasons. I try to run generally 5 out of the 7 days. I don't do other things like strength and conditioning work. I don't go to the gym or anything. I just go out 5 out of the 7 days and run. One of those 7 days is the park run, and I've done over 300 park runs. And again, this is just for background, so you know if I know what I'm talking about or not. I've done over 300 park runs, and I'm coming up on 250 park runs in Goulburn itself, as well as obviously other places where I've done park run. I think my PB for park run is about 24:22. That was set a few years ago, and I think my best time this year is somewhere in the 27:20, something like that. I don't know the exact time, I haven't looked it up, but it's a long way from the 24:22 I recorded a few years ago. And one of the things that I've sort of begun to accept and realise is that as you get older, the chances of you setting a new PB tend to stretch off into the distance to the point where they might disappear. They might just never happen. And it's not because you don't try and because you don't want them to happen. It's because it's harder work for you. It takes you longer to recover from other runs. It's just more difficult all around, which is not complaining. It's just stating the fact that that's what happens to you when you get old. And I'm not whinging about that either. I'm just saying that's a fact. Okay, so with all of that said, let's just get into what I wanted to talk about and let me have my say about things. And as I say, if you want to comment, please do so. I think the most appealing thing about running, and it's probably the simplest of all sports, is that you can walk out your door and you can just start running. And if there's a safe place to run, like a footpath or somewhere like that, or a cycleway or whatever I'm running on today, then you're pretty well right to just do what you want to do. You can plan out a route in your head, you can plan a distance that you want to run, you can plan a course that you want to run, you can say I'm going to run for a certain time, an hour and a half or whatever, 45 minutes out, 45 minutes back and so forth. But you can just basically do it by going out your door. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment, although I will come back and talk about equipment in a moment. And you don't necessarily need to join a club. Not that there's anything wrong with clubs, because there are people who enjoy being in running clubs and running groups and things like that. But it's not like a team sport where if you don't turn up, the team is the player short. And if you're the star player and they lose the game, then they're going to look at you and say, why didn't you turn up? If you were there, we would have won. There is the concern, of course, of saying that if you say to someone, we'll be running buddies and I'll be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you're not there for one reason or another, and that happens too often, the other person's going to get a bit cheesed off and eventually stop turning up. And the same is going to apply to you. If you say to them you're going to be there at 6 o'clock and they're not there, and that happens too many times, you tend to get discouraged. But for the most part, you can just go out your door, you can start running, and from a very early age, when you have control of your body, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or something like that, you can do it, and you can keep doing it for as long as your body will allow you, or as long as you want to do it. I read a book not so long ago. I can't remember the author's name, but it was called Come Run With Me, and this bloke who wrote this book was in his 90s and had only just stopped running, and he had stopped not because he didn't want to run anymore, he wanted to be able to run some more, but he's just got to the point where his body wasn't able to do it anymore. So it can stay with you for as long as you want to, and as long as you get joy out of it. And the joy and pleasure of it is that it's such a simple thing that you can just go and do it, as the slogan says. As I say, walking out your front door and bang, you're one foot in front of the other and you're running. Now, I did mention about equipment. If you think about team sports, you play cricket, you've got to have cricket bats and your cricket balls and stumps and pads and protectors and whatever, goodness knows, whatever other equipment. If you play one of the various codes of football, you've got to have boots and socks and shin pads and a uniform, and there's a whole lot of stuff you've got to have, and you've got to pay insurance and you've got to pay membership fees and all association fees and all that sort of stuff, and that's expensive. For running, you can put on a singlet. The only qualification is that it should be comfortable. I'm not sure how a singlet can be uncomfortable, but it should be comfortable and not chafe you. Put on a pair of what we used to call football shorts that either have a drawstring or elastic in the waist, and you're right. Again, the only qualification is that they're comfortable and they don't chafe you. Socks, same socks you wear to go to work, same socks you wear to walk down the street, same socks you wear to walk around the supermarket buying groceries. You don't need special socks. Shoes are, of course, an important part of your running because everything happens through your feet, and the shoes that you have need to be comfortable and practical. They need to not give you blisters and that sort of stuff. And it seems that one of the basic rules of running is that you need to have a number of pairs of shoes to rotate through, so that the shoes and the rubber in the shoes and the foam in the shoes can recover after the run. And the number of pairs of shoes you need to have is in fact the number of pairs you already have plus one more. The problem with that is that running shoes are expensive at $200, $300, $400, $500 a pair or more. For me, at least, it's very hard to justify spending all that money on pairs of shoes that you wear in rotation. I've seen videos of people talking about wearing the super shoes. I mentioned the Ben Bridges from This Messy Happy, who said that his performance in the Berlin Marathon was affected by the fact that he wore his carbon-plated shoes too many times in his training for the Berlin Marathon. There's another social media post I saw recently from a person who's about to run the Boston Marathon. They had bought a pair of shoes that they were specifically intending to wear for the Boston Marathon, and they've worn them a few times to break them in so that they're not brand new shoes and they don't get blisters and so on. But now they're thinking that those shoes aren't quite as comfortable and they're too foamy, or they push you off the ground, or they soak you into the ground, something or other that the person didn't seem very happy about. And they were in fact talking about wearing a pair of shoes that they already had, and in fact had 89 miles on them. And I wondered at that point whether that's what people do now. Is that what running has become, where you have a logbook where you record all of your runs and how far you ran and which shoes you wore, so that you know how many kilometres you've worn and got into each pair of shoes? A bit like keeping track of the tyres on your car, that you put new tyres on, and 12 months later or 30,000 kilometres later or whatever it is, you've got to put new tyres on. I know that there is a bit of folklore which says that when your shoes have done about 600 miles or 800 kilometres or whatever it is, there's a figure that's always quoted in miles for some reasons, although the rest of the athletic world went to metric a long time ago, that says when they reach a certain point you should replace them. But is that a genuine thing that you need to do because the shoes are worn out, or is it a thing that is done because the shoe manufacturers want you to buy more shoes? As I said, these two people that I've reported on saying these carbon-plated shoes aren't as good as they thought they would be. And I saw another video today about a bloke who was talking about super shoes he got from China, and he could tell me he told me the stack height. I'm not really sure if I know what that is, but he told me the stack height, he told me the weight of the shoes, and then I'm not sure whether they were comfortable enough for him to enjoy the run or not. So equipment is a factor, and shoes are important, and I'm not saying what I do is right and everybody else is wrong. I'm just saying what I do. and I have a pair of running shoes and I wear them when I run, and when I'll get to a point where I feel that they're no longer comfortable to run in, they've lost their support in the heel or the arch or something or other, and I'll replace them. But I cannot, for myself anyway, justify spending hundreds of dollars on multiple pairs of shoes that I might only wear occasionally. Then there's all the other stuff that goes with running, the compressions and the technology, and the technology is never going to go away. It's always going to be there with us, unfortunately, these days. And I know there are lots of running clubs where people have no technology days, where they just say, well, just turn up and run. Leave your phone at home, leave your smartwatch at home, leave all that stuff at home, and just run and feel the gravel under your feet and feel the bark crunching under your feet, and just listen to the cadence that your feet make as you run and get the pleasure out of that. But there are apps that measure all sorts of things about your running, and I hear and see social media posts from people who say, well, they're going to run this particular event which is X number of kilometres, and in order to run it they're going to have to run this particular, they want to achieve a particular time, so therefore they've got to run a particular pace, and they're going to have to monitor their heart rate, and then they make their video and they tell you every kilometre what their pace was for that kilometre, and they tell you what their heart rate was and all this sort of stuff. And I just again think, is this what running is supposed to be about, or is it supposed to be about a situation where you just go out the front door with a few basic items of equipment on, shorts, a singlet, pair of shoes and socks, and you go? Now, I admit to having a smartwatch, and I admit to having an app on my phone that is linked to that smartwatch, and I admit to looking at that information myself at the end of the run. So I look at the distance, I look at the various stats. It tells me about my best pace, my overall pace, etc. It can even tell me my stride length, and it can even tell me how much I sweated, how many mils of sweat I exuded or sweated out or whatever. And I can then break it down by kilometre if I want, so I can see what my lap time was for each kilometre of the race that I run. And I look at all that information, and then I shrug my shoulders, I open the app on my phone and look at all of it again, and then I don't do anything with it. And you might say, well, you're stupid, why don't you look at that information and then take it on board and say, well, the next time you go running, you've got to improve your cadence, you've got to improve your pace, you've got to work on your cadence, or you've got to work on keeping your heart rate down or up, or whatever it is. It's the value of that measure. I'm aware of all those statistics, and I'm aware of all that data, and I'm aware of all the metrics that we can measure about running, but I don't let that become the reason that I do it. I do it because I enjoy it. I do it because I want to be outside in circumstances like I am in this particular video, where it's a reasonably pleasant morning. It was a bit chilly to start off the morning when I got going, but the morning turned out to be reasonably pleasant once the sun came up and you could see where you were going. There was no wind. It was a bit crisp but not unpleasantly cold. So I want to be out in that sort of circumstance. I do it for my physical health. We know that running is a great thing for your physical health, for your cardiovascular system, your muscular system, and so forth. I do it for my mental health because I know that that there are those endorphins that are released into the brain as a result of running, the so-called runner's high. And maybe you don't feel as high after every run as you did after the first or second or the first 10 runs. Maybe it's because your body's become used to them now. But I do it because it's good for my mental health, and I can go out there and then whatever issues or things that are bothering me for the day or going on in my life at the time, and I'm not suggesting I'm overwhelmed by a multitude of problems or anything, but whatever else is going on in my life, I can put it to one side for the period that I'm running, which might be an hour or an hour and a half or whatever it is. And during that time, the only thing I've got to think about is running. Putting one foot in front of the other, being conscious of where I'm going, being conscious of where I'm headed, the layout of the course that I'm running. Are there hills coming up? Are there turns coming up? Is there going to be a traffic situation that I've got to be aware of? Is there a place where it's downhill for a little while so I can pick up a bit of speed? Those are the things that I just have to concentrate on and just think about, and I don't have to think about any of those other things that might be going on in my own life or in the world around me in most cases, things that I can't do much about. So I just, at least for the period that I'm running, I don't have to think about them. I don't take my phone with me so that I don't have to be worrying about carrying that, for one thing, and I don't have to worry about people sending me messages, usually notifications for pizza specials or stuff like that I don't really need to know about, but they are part of what comes to you, as everyone knows, come to you on your phone all the time. And yes, I could stick it in my back pocket and not have to carry it, but then I start to worry about what it's going to fall out of my pocket at any stage, and so I'm checking it to make sure it's all there. So it's not a thing that I want to do. So the simplicity of running is you walk out the door, you put on a few basic items, and you go. I'm talking from a man's perspective, of course, and so ladies, I don't want to be in the position of telling you what to do, and there maybe is some argument that is put forward that says if you look good and you feel good, you'll perform well, and so spending a lot of money on expensive, not necessarily even expensive, but spending money on outfits that make you feel good and make you look good will help you improve your performance. And if you go to the trouble of colour coordinating your outfit so that your top and your pants or leggings, whatever they're called, match each other, or one social media post I saw the other day telling me that the person had made sure to match their top to their shoes, and I thought, well, who's thinking about that? Who's watching that? Who's looking for that? We're looking at your running performance. We're not looking at your outfit. But anyway, ladies, I understand that thinking it from a female point of view is different from thinking about it from a bloke's point of view. So again, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not saying what I do is right or perfect. I'm just saying what I do, and you can take it or leave it. But as I said, there's a whole industry has grown up around running, from the shoe manufacturers to the clothing manufacturers and so forth, and the magazines and websites that support all this stuff, and people who openly now tell you that they're influencers who happen to have used running as a way to boost their social media presence or get more clicks or more likes or whatever it is. And one of those the other day was allegedly out running. Well, not allegedly, she was running. They were running, and they weren't telling me or their audience anything about the course they'd run or the distance they'd run or the time that they'd run or even the pace that they'd run or the whether it was hilly or flat or whatever. They were talking about the sunglasses, which presumably they were being gifted as part of their influencing profile, to flog you sunglasses. And I thought, well, again, what has this got to do with running? Nothing. Yes, I understand some people wear sunglasses when they're running, and I'm not here to criticise that by any means. By all means, wear what you like and wear what you're comfortable wearing. But I doubt very, very much whether any person who has performed, who has won any of the major marathons or set a world record or recorded a PB or a course record or whatever it is, any of those measures that people have for their running performance, I doubt any of them have said, well, it was the sunglasses that made the difference. I wore these particular gee whiz bang sparkly sunglasses and they just made all the difference because they were aerodynamically designed or something or other, and because they were come in multicolours and all those other things that are really important, then they made the difference to my running performance. So what is the takeaway? Like I said at the start of this video, I don't have a program, I don't have a takeaway, there's nothing here that I want to sell you, and there's no program that I can say to you, if you follow a program that I've thought of, you will be a better runner, because I'm not qualified to do those things. All I want to say in this thing is that running is a very simple, probably the simplest and the purest of sports, because you need practically nothing to do it. You just need a place to do it and make sure you're dressed appropriately so you don't run into trouble with the local population for running in things that they might think aren't appropriate, and also provide you with appropriate weather protection and so forth, and you're often doing it. Comfortable shoes. You want to spend a lot of money, you can buy expensive shoes, but it seems to me, just from the reports that I have read and the social media posts that I've seen and the videos that I've seen of people who've worn the expensive super shoes, that they don't provide that much of a difference to the performance to be able to justify the expense, and the possibility that you might only wear those shoes once or twice and then have to throw them away because they're not good for long-term ownership. They're designed for a one-off performance. All right, well, those are my thoughts about running. They're all a bit random and a bit over the place, and you might think I'm having a shot at various people. That wasn't my intention. It was just me talking about things that come to my mind as I'm running. As I said at the start of the video, if you want to comment, please do so. Try to comment on the content, and if you've got a particular point of view about running shoes or running outfits or Jazzy sunglasses or whatever, by all means, leave it in the comments, and when I become aware of it, I will respond. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the run that you are doing today, or whatever day that you're doing it. May you be in a position to record a PB shortly for your event, and I will talk to you the next time I'm making a running video. Thanks again for watching.